It was a Tuesday, the kind of utterly ordinary day that makes the horror that followed feel like a personal betrayal by the universe. I was working from home, buried in spreadsheets, when the doorbell rang. A quick glance at the security camera app on my phone showed a man in a generic, unmarked grey courier uniform holding a small, flat box. I wasn't expecting a package, but that wasn't unusual. I buzzed him in through the main building door and waited for the knock on my apartment door. The knock came. I opened the door just a crack, the security chain engaged. The man stood there, his face partially shadowed by a baseball cap. He was older than I expected, with deep-set eyes and a thin, unsmiling line for a mouth. "Package for apartment 4B, he said, his voice a low monotone. "You can just leave it there, thanks," I said, gesturing to the mat. He didn't move. "Need a signature." A prickle of annoyance. I hadn't ordered anything that required one, but I undid the chain, opened the door just wide enough to take the electronic clipboard he held out. I scribbled a messy signature and handed it back. He passed me the box. It was light, oddly so. "Thanks," I said, and began to close the door. He didn't turn to leave. He just stood there, staring at me. His eyes scanned past me, into my apartment. The silence stretched, becoming heavy, uncomfortable. "Is there something else?" I asked, my hand tightening on the door. He took a small, deliberate step forward, his work boot now crossing the threshold of my doorway. "Nice place you got here." The words were benign, but the delivery was all wrong. It was a statement, not a pleasantry. My heart gave a single, hard thud against my ribs. Every instinct screamed at me to slam the door. "Have a good day," I said, my voice firm, and I pushed the door shut, my weight against it as I fumbled to slide the chain back on. I heard his footsteps walk away, down the hall. I let out a shaky breath, leaning my forehead against the cool wood of the door. Weirdo, I thought. Just a socially awkward weirdo. I looked down at the box. The shipping label was smudged, almost illegible. My name was spelled wrong. There was no return address. A cold knot tightened in my stomach. I tore it open. Inside, nestled in crumpled brown paper, was a single, dead black bird. I recoiled, dropping the box with a gasp. Disgust and fear warred inside me. This wasn't a misdelivery. This was a message. That's when I heard it, a faint creak from the hallway. I crept to the door and looked through the peephole. The hallway was empty, but the feeling of being watched was so intense it was a physical pressure. I ran to my phone, my first instinct to call the building manager. As I was pulling up the number, a notification popped up from my security camera. Motion detected at my door. I opened the live feed, and there he was. He was back. He wasn't looking at the camera. He was just standing there, perfectly still, facing my door. He had never left the building. My blood ran cold. I took a screenshot and immediately posted it to my building's next door thread. "Urgent! Is anyone else seeing this delivery guy? He just left a dead animal at my door and is now just standing in the hall. Police called." The responses started flooding in almost instantly. "Oh my God, he just rang my bell but I didn't answer," from 3C. "He's been lurking in the parking garage for the past hour," from another neighbor. "That's not a real uniform. I used to work for FedEx. That's not their logo." My isolation shattered, replaced by a chorus of shared fear. We were all in this together, yet utterly alone in our individual apartments. I called 911, my voice trembling as I explained the situation. They said they'd sent a car. I watched him on the camera. For 10 minutes, he didn't move a muscle. He was a statue of menace. Then, slowly, he tilted his head up and looked directly into the camera lens. He couldn't see it. It was disguised as a doorbell, but it felt like he was looking right at me, right through the screen and into my soul. A slow, horrible smile spread across his thin lips. He raised his hand and pointed, not at the door, but directly at the camera. At me. Then he turned and finally walked away, his footsteps echoing down the stairwell. The police arrived 15 minutes later. They found the box with the bird. They took my statement. They found nothing. No van, no man, no trace. The official incident report was filed as criminal trespass and harassment. A dead end. But the story didn't end there. Over the next week, the next door thread became a chronicle of our collective nightmare. He was spotted on different streets in the neighborhood, always in the grey uniform, always carrying a small, flat box. He never attempted another delivery. He would just stand, on a corner, under a street lamp, staring at houses. We had become a neighborhood under siege by a ghost in a courier's costume. I moved my desk away from the window. I bought heavier locks. Every doorbell ring sends a jolt of pure adrenaline through my system. The police told me he was likely a scout, testing for vulnerable targets. But that rational explanation doesn't comfort me, because I was the one he chose to make eye contact with. I was the one who received his package. He wasn't just a criminal. He was a performer, and my doorstep was his stage. He wasn't trying to steal anything. He was delivering a message. Your home isn't yours. Your safety is an illusion, and I know exactly where you live.